APIs for other plugin developers to bring AI features into WordPress. So it's basically like a maybe what you would call a framework plugin. It provides plumbing for other WordPress plugin developers to build AI features into their plugins in a provider agnostic way. And that last bit is very important, because when I don't know when that was, maybe a good year ago or so, I kind of looked at it took some time to look at the WordPress plugin landscape. How do plugins make use of AI? And what I found is that the existing plugins primarily, they just integrate with a specific provider. And when I say provider, I mean, for example, Google, OpenAI, Anthropic, Perplexity, all the other ones. There's so many now, right? And there's a couple that are very popular. But the a problem I saw is that most plugins, they choose a single provider and they integrate with it. And probably I would assume that, for example, a plugin developer will likely choose a provider that they use the most, regard and that leads to some challenges for the end users of the plugin, because obviously AI is just gaining more and more traction, right? It's already quite popular, but I feel like we're still just touching the surface, and over time there will be more and more WordPress plugins that use AI capabilities and bring AI capabilities to the end users. And at that point, you have to think, if we spin this further, this idea of every plugin integrating with a single provider, because that's easy, right? Because you don't want to integrate with 10 providers. That's a lot of work. You'll eventually get to a problem situation where, let's say, a user installs 10 plugins on their site, which is not very much. We all know that. They will maybe have to get subscriptions with 8 different providers, and that's not very effective. That's not very cheap. That will cost a bunch of money, and you could argue that probably a lot more. It would be a lot more sustainable if the end user or the site owner could say, I use OpenAI, or I use Google, or I use Anthropic, or whatever, right? Like, if the end user can just say, I want to use this service, and then all the plugins I install should use this provider or this service, that would be a much more ideal situation for the end user. And that's kind of my first initial thought that got me to starting work on the AI services plugin. What I find is there are very few PHP APIs and SDKs available to use those popular providers. So I've seen a lot of plugins implement their own versions of it, use some kind of half-maintained libraries. But again, at the end of the day, you kind of have to figure it out yourself as of today, or as of before AI service. So I would say you have to kind of figure it out to yourself. And it's a lot of work to add support for even a single provider. So why would you want to do that for like 10 providers, right? That would be just too much work. So introducing the AI services is kind of what's supposed to close that gap. The plugin comes with a PHP API and a JavaScript API, so you can use it in the backend, but you can also use it in the front end, like for example in the Gutenberg block editor of WordPress. And you can use the same API to talk to all the providers. You don't really need to worry. You don't really need to worry how a specific provider works. The plugin just sets it up for you. There are currently 6, well, maybe 7 built-in providers. 6 are cloud providers, and then the one provider that's integrated is Chrome browser or Edge browser built-in APIs. I can talk more about that later. So you get these 6 providers out of the box when you use the AI services plugin, but there's also an API as part of the plugin to register new providers. So if your favorite AI provider is not among those 6, you can still use the AI services plugin and set up another provider with the same foundation. And who knows, if it's like a popular provider, I'm also all ears to get, like, I'm really eager to get more providers supported. with time, especially other popular ones. And the plugin supports, all kinds of common things that we would want to do, like text generation, function calling, image generation. It now also supports text to speech, which isn't even in the list here. But so you can get this plugin on WordPress.org, and basically you can choose two ways to use this for your own plugin. Either you mark this plugin as a dependency to your plugin. So let's say if your own plugin is completely AI focused, right? Like you would probably want to make AI services a dependency to your plugin, and that means then the user will activate AI services and activate your plugin. The alternative way that you can use AI services would be as an optional dependency. So let's say your plugin has a ton of features that are not AI related, but you have some features that need AI. So then you could say, of course, most of your plugin would still be usable without having AI services installed and activated. So you could say, if the site also has AI services activated, I'm going to enable those AI features in my own plugin for the end user. And then, of course, you can implement some nice user flow where you could say, hey, like you could prompt the user, hey, do you want to use these AI features? Activate the AI services plugin, and you'll get all these AI features, right? But yeah, enough talk. I'm gonna share a bit more. I'm gonna share a bit more like initial demos now about how this works. So let's just go to new. This is like a fresh WordPress site, so I'm just gonna quickly show how you would get this plugin. Maybe I usually search for AI services abstraction. That's how you kind of get quickly to that exact plugin. Install it and activate. And so yeah, you get this pop-up here to configure it. It has a settings screen. So that's another thing that I found problematic. Today, with all the plugins implementing their own provider support, even if they implement support for the same provider, they all have to provide some input field somewhere to paste an API key. And well, you don't want to have to search through all your WP admin in 20 different places. Especially, we all know that menu list can get a lot fuller with more plugins are there. So the AI Services plugin brings this all into one place. You have a single UI here to paste API keys. I'm just going to set up the Gemini API key now, just as a quick demo. You hit save. And as you can see, this is all kind of the UI is all very much like Gutenberg inspired. It's supposed to really directly integrate, feel like WordPress. It's essentially like meant to be like a feature plugin that feels very native to how it would be if it was part of WordPress itself. So now we go into the AI services playground. So this is the most powerful feature, so to say, about the AI services plugin beyond the actual PHP and JavaScript APIs that it provides. So it's kind of like the name indicates, it's like a playground to explore in a UI all the things that you can do, almost all the things that you can do with the AI services plugin. So I'm just going to do a very quick, I don't know, select my Google provider here and select some model. And you can just say whatever. What is WordPress? Doesn't seem very fast today. Maybe it's my internet. There you go. Yeah, very long response, very detailed. Nice. It also included a distinction about WordPress.org and WordPress.com, so that's helpful. But yeah, this is just a very quick demo for now to show you can set this up on a new site or when you start from scratch. So you have basically here, I'm going to give you a lot more information about what you can do here in the next demos, but you basically have the AI services settings screen where you can paste, oh yeah, this informs me that I can use the AI playground, where you can paste API keys for whichever services you want to configure, and then you have the playground to, well, give it a try, really. So that's that. Let's go over here. This is my fully configured site with, you see, API keys are configured for all the providers that are supported. And so what I want to do now is just show a couple more demos, what you can do with the plugin. So we start having the same starting point. Let me just start with a very, very simple example, just similar to what I did before. So I'm just going to ask, what is Gutenberg? Always takes a little while. I hope, by the way, I hope the live demos work out. Live demos are always tricky, as we all know, but then with AI as part of it, it's probably even trickier because you'll never really know what it's going to do. Interesting is, yeah, it tells me here Gutenberg can mean several things, right? Project Gutenberg WordPress editor is the fifth thing it comes up with, right? As we're working in WordPress, of course, it's very likely that we asked about this one meaning of Gutenberg, but this is a plain and simple UI to communicate with the AI models. So this is not like a smart agent or anything. It's not pre-configured in any specific way. It's really just for you to explore what you can do with this plugin. So the AI model does not know that this is run in WordPress, at least not right now, because we didn't provide it any information about that. So I'm just going to reset what's in here. So what you can do, what you can do here also is send message history with a prompt. So you're probably familiar with chat. I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with chat interfaces for AI. What they technically do is that they send every single time all the messages that were previously sent to the AI model. So it's not like the AI model doesn't really have any memory. You just give it everything that you talked about before again. And that's important when it comes to lower level considerations on how to implement AI in your own plugin. Because what I just sent is a single message. So let me see I can now ask, let's say I ask what is WordPress. That's what WordPress means. WordPress just has one meaning, basically. Like it's not like Gutenberg, right? So it should give me a response about the actual CMS that we're talking about today. So yeah, similar response to before. So now if I ask here, what is Gutenberg? It would give me again a response with all the different meanings of the word Gutenberg, because I'm not currently sending the whole history, even though this looks like a chat UI. So what you can do here is toggle this thing on, send message history with a prompt, and that way it will continue this conversation that was started here. So if I now ask what is Gutenberg, it should tell me about the WordPress specific Gutenberg, hopefully, at least because it's seen that we before talked about WordPress, right? So it's very likely. Well, so there you go. Actually, yeah, it did do that. Gutenberg, yeah, it tells me about Gutenberg as a block editor. So the whole message is focused on explaining what Gutenberg is, how it works, etc., like the editor, what it is, etc. So that's how the context from the previous message influenced this. So let's continue. I prepared it. Let's continue the conversation. So one thing that's cool about this, because the AI services integrates with all kinds of different providers, you can, switch right anywhere at any point. You can switch to another provider, right? So that is something that the normal chatbots don't allow you to do. So let me just say, let's say I want to continue this conversation on Claude. I'm just gonna, so I keep, this is important to keep on, right? Like I want to continue this conversation. So now I'm just gonna say, can you give me a 1-paragraph summary of that explanation? And now I'm talking to a completely different model, not even from Google, right? It's from Anthropic. It's like a different provider, but the message history was created by the Google model. And now I got Claude to summarize this for me. So you can really combine different capabilities of different models in a single flow. That is a very powerful thing, which you can do when you have multiple providers available. So now I have some prompts pre-written so that you don't have to watch me type out all this stuff. So I'm just going to paste that here. Let's say I now want to have it generate code for me. Always taking a while. There you go. So it gave me my block. I asked for a block.json file for a new WordPress carousel block. So it generates me like this block.json file. It then also gives me a bunch of explanation about what this does, how it works, blah 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 blah. Let's just say I don't want all this other information. Like if I wanted to use AI for actual code generation, you really wanted to just generate code in a structured way so you can parse it. And one way to do that is to customize, give it like a general system instruction. I'm just gonna again take that over to paste it. Let's just reset all the messages to start kind of from, actually, I don't even need to start from scratch. I can just continue the same thing, but if I turn this off, again, like as mentioned before, it will ignore everything that was sent before, but it will still be visible in the same window. So I'm just gonna, here in this, you can click this button to toggle this open where you can paste a system instruction, which will then be sent in any new requests. So now I'm gonna say the same thing again. I want to create a Gutenberg block for an accessible carousel. And the important thing here is in my system instruction, I say you must only return the code, right? Like I don't want any explanations, like, and there you go. It did what I asked it to do, right? And that's because even though I didn't say it here, I specified this as a requirement in the system instruction. And this is some of the, I've noticed that what works pretty well is like capitalize the word must. And for, yeah, that I don't know, that has usually been working pretty well for me. If you really wanted to 100% stick to something. And then there's also, you may have heard that it's kind of hard to give negative instructions to a model, like don't do that. What I found works pretty well still is I always use the word never, and then again capitalize it, like make it really important, kind of scream at the model, you must not do that, so to speak. So that at least here it worked. It did give me just the model code. So this is an example for how you can basically provide a system instruction to, yeah, really customize what it can do. Let me just clean that out and reset for what we're going to do next. But before, I want to give a quick demo of how you can use a quick overview, like how you can use this in PHP. There's a lot of documentation about this plugin on the, it's all linked from the WordPress.org page. There's also the GitHub repository. So you can find a ton of documentation on how to use it. And there's a whole page via GitHub page, or a site via GitHub pages about which documents how to use the APIs. So this is in PHP. This is PHP code. So the first example would be, yeah, using the Google service and then just say generate text. This is the boilerplate code that you would need to write for this. But now the powerful thing, like of course you can use a specific provider like Google in this example here, But the powerful thing about this plugin is that you can also use any provider that is configured on the site based on specific capabilities or features that you need the provider to support. And that's where what I said before comes in. Like ideally, you'll want the end user of the WordPress site to be in control, to say, I don't know, my favorite provider is Anthropic, so I want to use the Anthropic models. And that way, and they can do, if you write your code in a way that it's provider agnostic, then the end user has the full choice. And the way that that would work, for example, is that you, instead of saying get has a, instead of calling this has available services function for a specific provider name, like here it uses Google, you could pass in an area of capabilities that you want supported. And there's a bunch of capability strings and constants that you can use. For example, text generation. That's obviously the most basic capability, I think, that is common throughout all the different providers. So, and that way, the API is all the same, but instead of providing a specific slug, you provide a list of capabilities, and then you get whichever provider is supported on the site back, and then you can use it. That's really the power of AI Services plugin and its API that supports different providers. So in JavaScript, you can do the exact same thing. I think a lot of applications today for AI will likely revolve around the Gutenberg, the block editor, and for that, you will need to write your code likely in JavaScript. So there is a JavaScript API that works exactly or very similar to the PHP API. It uses the REST API endpoints to pass all the calls through to the PHP layer, which then talks to the actual model APIs from Google, from OpenAI, and so on. As you can see, the API is very similar. You have a JavaScript data store that you need to use, but then the functions are the same, like is service available, get available service. You have kind of you have a very similar API. It's exactly the same example as here, in fact. Like it's just the same code in PHP here is this code in JavaScript, basically. And you can, it's all the same. It's even the same documentation. I really have it. It was important for me to. It's kind of duplicated. One is this. It's all the same documentation. One is for PHP. The other one is for JavaScript. And here would be the same example as before, where you say, I don't want to say use a specific provider. I want to use whichever any provider that is configured and uses text and supports text generation. So this is how you would do this in JavaScript. A little nice touch, you can even use this plugin with WP CLI. Here's a quick example how that would work. We're not going to really focus on that today because it's maybe a little bit more of an edge case, but you can also use this. Yeah, you can also communicate with all the providers via WP CLI. All right. So what's pretty cool is, what's pretty cool though is that you can also, you don't need to all these documentation. I think it's good with time that you familiarize yourself with it. But now let's just type back a simple example. Bring back a simple example here. So what you can do, I don't know if you've noticed that before, but there's a button here to view code. So check this out. It basically gives you the whole code snippet in PHP that you would need to use to send the exact same call that I made in the UI here via your code. Same for JavaScript. This is exactly the full code that you would need to do that. It also shows the raw JSON data. That's just for your own inspection, kind of what it looks like under the hood. But this is really powerful if you want to get started with using this plugin. You can basically just click on view code, paste this code into your plugin, and then you can start adapting it more, right, for your own needs. All right, let's do some more demos. I'm just gonna put a clean slate. So something that's of course pretty cool is image generation. So we're gonna generate some images. Let let me just select image in 3. So I'm just going to take another prompt here. So I don't know about you, but I'm a dog person. We have a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel at home, so I don't know. This is one of my favorite things to put as a prompt. So I'm just gonna do that and see what it comes out with. There you go, such a cute boy. So yeah, you can basically generate an image here. Let me just run it with another image generation model. Maybe we're gonna do, I don't know, should we use OpenAI or X? Let's just use that one. I don't know. Maybe we can also use all three. Actually, yeah, let's do that. If you press upper arrow here, you can basically just get back to the previous message. It's just similar to like when you're in a terminal or something. So let's see what that comes up with. Okay. And OpenAI, we can also use that. Yada, yada, yada. Okay, there you go. So when you see those three, you can, I don't know, you can make your own assessment, I suppose, which one looks the most accurate to what I asked for. First of all, I would say I wanted to generate a photo, right? And this is definitely not, this does not look like a photo. This sort of looks like a photo. This also looks like a photo. So like those two are definitely better than this one in terms of looking like a photo. Anyway, I'm not going to judge all the rest here, but so what you can do now is you can save any of these images to the media library. So that's pretty neat. There you go. Okay, now I got all these images saved in my media library. So now, I don't know if you're aware that the image generation, all the image generation models, they only support a single message. So unlike text generation models where you can send history from previous messages, you cannot do that with image generation. So when I select this here, like it basically, there's like no model anywhere that supports this. So that's why it's important that it's important again to remind you that this is not an actual chat. This is just one message, one answer, separate message, separate an answer, separate message and answer. But what I can do now is we have all those three now. I already made some quick assessment what I think about some of them, but like let's just say we want an actual model to judge which of these images is best. So I'm going to enable chat history so that I can send those processed images, and multimodal input is really important because you basically need you need to use a model that supports image input, which is expressed by this multimodal. So now let me see what it says. And I'm just gonna again take the pre-written prompt here that I have so that you don't have to see me type all this. Important, of course, send the message history. And now I asked GPT 4.40, which of these images is best? Okay, this is not allowed. So then let me try with, see, this is a typical live demo thing. I suppose OpenAI only allows image input in the user messages, but this is an LLM message. But I know that other providers support this. So let me just try it with X. Okay. Oops, this is not the ideal prompt. I asked which of these two. Actually, see, this is, I messed this up. Let me just, but you see, anyway, I'm not going to rerun this right now with all the 3 images, but you can see that now it judged the images that I put here. I should have sent I should have put in the prompt that it's 3 generated images. So this is my own mistake. It says, though, that the first image adheres more closely to the prompt, which I would also say, because I'm not sure, you're probably not familiar with the nuances of this breed of dog, but this is, I put here, this is a very slight nuance. I put here, I want a tricolor Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, which means it's this color pattern. It's not this color pattern. You definitely did not need to know this, but I think AI should have known. And so I'm very happy that here it respected my prompt correctly. Anyway, so you can use an AI model from another provider to judge image generated images, and you could even use this, for example, to basically what I did here, to do what I did here in a structured way in your own code. You could say, generate an image for a specific prompt, do this with 3 different providers, and then have an LLM run in the background to judge which one is the best, and only that one you put into, only that one you show to the user, or only that one you insert into the content, or something like that. So this is really powerful, a really powerful thing that you can do. All right, let's reset all of this. Next demo, I'm going to do some function calling. So function calling, if you're familiar, is basically allows it allows you to provide function declarations to a model so that it can basically access things or use tools that normally it can't do that. And this is only working, like, this always works together with your specific piece of software, right? Like, in reality, for example, if you ask a model to I don't know, give me the weather for somewhere, right? Like, the model doesn't have real-time data on the weather, but you could give it a function to say, get the weather for a specific location, and then it could make an API call under the hood or something like that. So I'm just gonna do that. I'm gonna use Claude for this. So the way that you do this in the AI Playground is you have here UI for function declarations, and you can, I already have one function here. Let me just show you quickly how you can add another function. Let's say this is the same function, but it would give the temperature in Fahrenheit instead of Celsius. All right, so now we have both functions. Okay, let me just adjust this for parity with the other function. All right, now we have declared these functions. They are not actual functions that we have on this WordPress site, right? Like, I just made this up for a demo. So now you can check those here. That means that they will be sent to the model. And now I can say, what's the current temperature in San Francisco, for example? And now it will give me this thing here, which is basically definition data for a function call. It tells me to call the get temperature Celsius function, and the parameter location should be set to San Francisco. So this basically allows you to connect user-given prompts, like just regular text prompts, into function calls. This is, of course, a very simple example, but now I can also simulate the response. Like, it tells me here, like, you have to, of course, enable message history so that it knows the function, the original question, the function call that it put, and now I'm going to put here, let's say, temperature. I'm just going to put JSON in here for, I don't know, let's just say it's 17 degrees today. And there you go. The current temperature in San Francisco is 17 degrees. So in a real software project, the user would only see this. That's supposed to be their own prompt. This would happen in the background, and then the model would respond with this, right? I just simulated now this tool call and the tool response And that's what you can also test here in the AI playground.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Felix. This is something really amazing within WordPress dashboard. Thank you so much.
Also, yeah, thank you for the feedback. Yeah, I'm going to show a few more things before we wrap it up. Just what else is there? Okay, now let me do remove this. Let me do multimodal output. This is something very new. So you know how you have either models that can generate text, or you have models that can generate images, or maybe you have models that can generate audio. But multimodal output is something very revolutionary, which I think is going to become more and more important in the future, which is about models that can generate multiple things in different formats, all in one model. There's only very few options for that right now. So I'm going to select this model here. And then I'm going to say I want to generate text and images, which is then something you can configure here. I'm going to take this again from here. I'm just going to ask it to write like a little children's poem and put images with it. Hopefully this works out. Okay. This is okay. Yeah. So, but see, this is like a single message from a single model. So it gave me text, it gave me an image. It also gave me more text, and it gave me a second image. I'm not sure I love these images, and obviously I guess it wanted to put the text in the images, and that never really works well with AI image generation. I know there are some recent models that have gotten better at this, but yeah, obviously this is not great. But it shows what you can do here. Like, if I could also probably have given it a better prompt to say, don't put text in the image, for example. But yeah, this is a single model that generated like a whole text and image here, text and images here. So this is, and there's one thing that you can see is that the images, they are different images, but they adhere to the same like style. And that's something very powerful, because usually when you do image generation, you can just generate a single image, and models are most traditional image generation models are not good at keeping the same image and modifying it, or keeping the same style of an existing image. So that's something that these multimodal output models tend to be better at. I now just save those files as well, so we can continue doing some image editing, so to speak. I'm just going to disable this. By the way, I just wanted to quickly show you that I'm not lying. Like, this is the images I generated, right? They're now all in my media library. So after I save them, so now let's have some fun. Change the animals to wear sunglasses. So I'm just gonna take this picture. Let's see what it comes up with. I disabled chat history because I don't want to give it all this other content. It's not really relevant for my task. I just take the image that was generated, and I want to give these animals sunglasses. Okay. I mean, that's pretty cool, huh? So there you go. Now I can save that image. That's a quick demo of basically how you can use multimodal models for image editing. Again, that's because that's something where you can give it an existing image and say, change this thing and don't change anything else, which is also something that for a long time wasn't really possible because of the traditional image generation models wouldn't support it. Okay, last thing that I'm going to reset again. So another thing that you can do is speech generation. I'm going to set this to text and audio, and now I'm going to use another model that supports that, like GPT-4o. I'm going to ask When was WordPress first released? I don't know if this will play. I don't know if you will hear this, but I assume it. I will. I don't know. Was that? Could you hear that or no? I think. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I assume that the noise. What is it? Noise cancellation from my Mac thought I shouldn't like play this. So anyway, but this just literally gave me. It told me the answer to this question through audio. And well, this is maybe not the best demo then because you can't verify it. But so basically, it told me the answer to this question. There's a slight nuance that I want to clarify. There is speech generation, which is what this is, and there is another AI feature that's called text to speech, which I'm going to show you now. So text to speech is different because text to speech is basically you type a text and the model should exactly say that same text. And that's different, right? Like you either ask here I'm literally, it's with speech generation, I'm asking the model to give me an answer to the question. Whereas if I now type the same thing here, it will not answer this question because I'm going text to speech. It will just literally say it will literally say this exact sentence. Yeah, I mean, this is also very short to say. When was WordPress first released? It says that here in 2 seconds. I'm sure you couldn't hear this either, but I hope you get my point.
Yeah.
And this is it's an important difference to be aware of. Like speech generation and text to speech are two different things. They're very similar, but they're different. Like both generate audio, but different kind of audio. All right, let's move on to another thing. I'm going to go back to the settings here. And now I'm going to show you something pretty cool. I think it's, at least I think it's pretty cool. I'm just going to remove all the providers here because let's just say we don't want to spend any money. We don't want to have subscriptions with these providers. There are browser built-in models. There are browser built-in models now for Chrome and Edge. So if you're in if you're either on Chrome or Edge, you can. It's still an experimental technology right now, but you can request access to this. So I'm going to show you how that works. And the AI Services plugin supports it. So if you're on Chrome or Edge browser and you have access to the built-in model, which again, it's not locked or anything, like you just have to request access to it. It's like an experimental feature in both browsers. So I can select this here. And now this purely runs on my own machine. It runs on my own browser, whatever I'm going to do now. It will not send anything to any cloud provider, which means this does not cost me anything to run. And also the data stays on my machine, which is great for privacy. So now I'm going to ask it. I'm just going to ask it the same question again. Obviously, this is text generation now, just very simple, and it gives me an answer. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is not really correct, I suppose. Anyway, it gave me an answer. This is the browser built-in AI, right? And I think this is something that's going to become really, really powerful in the future. And yeah, where you can use models that run on the individual user's browser. They don't have to get subscriptions they don't have to pay for these providers. They can just run things on their own device. Today, these models are much more limited in capability. As you can already tell, this answer is not really amazing, even though this is accurate. But yeah, but it's an early demo, and it shows and these models, like all the other models, will get better and better. And my summary would be, I think the on-device models, they will probably never be as strong as the cloud-based models, simply also because of restrictions on the machines that run them. Like my personal laptop is not as capable as like some cloud farm somewhere that runs these hosted models, right? So they will always be behind those, but all of models get better with time. And at some point, and probably for some use cases already today, these built-in models, they are good enough to use, right? And I think that's going to become super promising in the future. I can also share, so that's kind of wraps up with all the demos that I wanted to show you. Again, here's an example of how you would, the code example for this, as I want to just remind you of that. I'm going to wrap up now with the demos. I can also share a little bit more about the future of AI in WordPress, but maybe initially wanted to pause for some Q&A.
Yeah, thank you so much, Felix. I think we can start with Q&A, and if anyone like want to join us on the screen, can directly ask any question. That would be great too. So so yeah, please, if anyone has any question, we would love to onboard you. By the way, I have overall like I didn't explore your plugin before, and it was a really amazing demo. Especially like you can define functions over there, and on the front end, it would be really easy for a user to output for that whatever we are. For example, for temperature, like you mentioned about that. Okay, so I think. Fakhar, would you like to join us? You can request for presenter mode. We can enable you. So if anyone else has any question? Yeah, so Mamoon has a question. Yeah, Mamoon, please ask your question. If you want to join as a, okay. Vakas Sabdar has a question. Yeah. So Vakas, yeah, please ask your question. You are on screen. Yeah, you are mute, Vakas. So Vakas has a question in the chat, Felix. Like with the rapid pace of AI innovation, many site owners are concerned about future where their dedicated AI plugins become outdated for their chosen AI provider is no longer the best option from a steady point of view. How does the AI service plugin help to future-proof a WordPress site and prevent vendor lock-in, ensuring that a site owner can easily switch between AI providers to access the latest model with overhauling their entire website? So like you were doing different switching different models, and at some point would it affect in terms of performance as well for the website if it's for example it's an enterprise publisher, and they are a news agency, and behind that there are too many editors and authors, and they are using AI to integrate multiple things and create different content, like you mentioned about audio, mentioned about image generation. So would that overhaul the website?
I think based on the question, I would say the AI services plugin, like one of the key goals is exactly to future-proof, to prevent vendor lock-in. Like the question is, this is a great question. Based on that, the plugin developers, when they use AI services as a foundation, they can write their code in a way that it works with ideally any provider. So then that means that you can use the plugin with any provider, and if tomorrow a new model comes out that's way better at a certain task, the user can just switch to it and the plugin will still work. So I would argue this is the exact, like, this is the way that it does future-proof the site, because you can switch a model at any time. You can switch to a new model at any point that is better, has better capabilities, and the plugins still work. You don't have to re-architect all the plugins. You don't have to like find new plugins just because you switch to a new model. So that really makes it future-proof, I would argue. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. So and there is another question from Mamoon, like, is it possible to create a post or page using AI prompt? For example, if I provide a prompt with the title ABC and the description XYZ, and can the system automatically generate and publish the content? So it's in QA. Yeah.
So this would be, I'm gonna very quickly share my screen to answer this question.
Yeah.
This is not support. So the AI services plugin is purely this developer framework. It only provides the APIs for other plugin developers to build actual features. And this playground is basically meant for developers to use to test what they can do with this plugin, but it's not really, this is I would say this is too complex for an average user to use of the WordPress site. So, but what you can do is, well, maybe now I have, give me 1 second. So just going to reset this, go back here to the settings, put back an API key for, so when you use function calling, right? I showed a demo before with this very simple weather example, but if you could easily write a plugin building on top of AI services that could probably be a plugin with, I don't know, like probably maybe even a single file plugin would be enough to do this, where you could create a function here to say, you would have a function, you would write a function in your code that takes, like I said, let's say we call it create WordPress post, and then we give it a description. And I say add parameter, let's say post title, post content, right? And then this would be, I'm just demoing this here. And now I can tell it, create a 3-paragraph WordPress post about, I don't know, the AI services plugin. This is not going to actually create a post, but it will give me the function call to do this, right? Like, if you now, all you would need to do is send this exact prompt, and then you would have you need to have a function in your own plugin which is then called, and you can just take the arguments that are provided here, right? It gives you in the structured shape the post title and post content, and in your own plugin code you could then implement this. So it's not something that is supported by the plugin itself, which is really because this plugin is a framework plugin. But it would be really easy to build a plugin that can do this based on it.
Yeah, I think Mamoon, are you clear now? I think you can just say with yes or no, whatever it is. But Felix has explained really well. It's a kind of a framework plugin, and you can, by using this, you can set up your own small mini plugin to auto generate page or post. Okay, so one more question from Ali Fawad Raza. Like, does this work with Page Builder? Like, I mean, can it generate code specific to the page builders we are using?
I mean, I would say that it's not super relevant to the AI service plugin itself, because it doesn't provide these features. It only provides the tooling for developers. But there's nothing that is incompatible with any page builder. And if you Like you could have a plugin, built on top of AI services plugin that generates, for example, generates code for a specific page builder. Um,
All right, so maybe I think we have another question. So Tahira has a question like, can I use this plugin in combination with, I'm sorry, uh, with the Elementor, and which theme is best matched with this plugin? Like their question is like, she's a content creator, and like she, I think, using Elementor page builder, and like asking like which theme could be better with Synergy, who can like like sync with Elementor perfectly. I think this question is about compatibility
yeah,
around like.
this is I like it's kind of maybe a similar answer to the previous question. This is fully compatible with those different tools. It doesn't integrate with them because it's only the framework plugin, but yeah, the plugin, since the plugin only provides AI tooling to developers and this AI's playground screen, it doesn't do anything in the front end of your site. So which theme you use is irrelevant. You can use any theme with it.
So another question we have, Vakas has a question uh, like if you are reading it, I can read it for you as well for
Yeah,
those.
I can read it. Yeah, I see it. This is a great. I mean, I don't. I would. I'm not sure how closely related this is to the AI service plugin, but I've been wondering about this myself. Like when you use these platforms to generate React code, how can you make it? How can you integrate that into WordPress? The thing is that I feel like most of these tools are, well, they're not definitely not built with WordPress in mind, and React code written for WordPress has different needs than like React code written with for Next.js or some plain React application or so on. Um, so I think if you have some simple UI components that are kind of agnostic of which framework you use, then maybe you could directly put it into your WordPress plugin. Um, but I think that yeah, I think you could you would need to, if you use these tools to generate something for WordPress, you would either need to have very clear instructions. You're creating this for WordPress, use this and this and this WordPress package, um, or unless you generate a UI component that's agnostic of the platform. But then I would say to integrate this, you would need to put it into your own plugin, like whatever plugin with UI you want to build. Then you could take the generated code from Bolt or Lovable and paste it into your own plugin.
Yeah, I think I would have a question about the AI chatbot. So we are actually developing SEO repair kit, and it's actually like kind of aiming to fix technical issues of the website, like schema, structured schema, like meta tags, robots.txt at some point, broken links, image alt text. So we have right now we have added a very simple chatbot within WordPress dashboard. By uh, behind that we are using Na10, but now we are trying to host our own LLM where we can like my question is like we are trying to educate like very beginners who are really good with the page builder and everything through Elementor or Gutenberg, but we need to educate them to help to fix their technical issues as well. So the thing is like can we like make our chatbot more efficient in terms of like so a chatbot has full access to the database at some point, and whatever we will ask, so they will do those changes accordingly and verify like on the very first place we will simply educate user by navigating them to that setting page. But at some point we are aiming to help them like they just need to say okay, fix structured schema for article and authors, so it should work automatically. And whatever is missing, we can ask user like you just need to put or fill all the details for the XYZ author, like bio is missing, social profiles are missing, that is really helpful for that. any kind of website link or whatever it is, like it's missing, so you can update that, so I can do that for you. So how do you think like it would help and it is achievable? I would love to hear your thoughts about that.
Mm, I think that would tie, like if you, this would tie in with function calling a lot, right? Like I think you would need to, um, I mean, whether you use AI, you could use AI service for this, but you could also build it separately. Like if you need, um, yeah, you would need to have probably a lot of functions defined that the model can autonomously call, partially about just getting the right data to make assessments on what is missing, what is broken. That's the first thing. And then another set of tools, another set of functions to change things on its own. I think one
Exactly.
thing that is always you need to always be really careful there is we can never trust the LLM fully, right? So there always
Exactly.
needs to be some verification mechanism for the user, I think, to approve what the model is proposing to do. And
Exactly. So we need to ask a user at every point, like, can we do that for you? We are doing that option, like we are trying to update option in WP options, are trying to update the meta in XYZ table, and are you allow it? So based on that input, only those changes actually replicated at some point. And maybe one thing more that is really curious, like I was seeing a thread on Reddit, and like their ChatGPT was synced with, I think, GitHub and the PC somehow, and somehow their window has actually formatted at some point. Like their whole operating system has gone after with the LLM integration to the PC. So you are right about that. We can't trust that. But what I said to my team, like these AI models are kind of a babies, and you need to, whatever you will teach them, they will speak like this. So I think that training is really important to automate things.
right, right. And then on top of this, I think especially with WordPress, it's really tricky because there's so many plugins and themes that you can't possibly know it all. Um,
Exactly.
so I think to make this really work well, you need probably a combination of maybe some fine-tuned model, which is that's going to be it's going to be a bigger effort, right? Like you need to further train models on ideally all the plugins that exist, so they knows about every plugin that exists. But you can also, this is of course, training models and fine-tuning models is really complicated, but you can also start with maybe having some very some more sophisticated rack mechanisms where it looks for additional information and only then gets a response, and some agentic workflow like that would probably help. But
Yeah.
I think I always run when I think about this, I always run into the challenge of, like, I don't know, the LLM will probably know about a plugin like Yoast SEO, but what if the site has a plugin that's installed on 100 sites? Like it won't know, or at least it will not know much about it. And
Yeah, exactly. And there are around, like we were researching, there are around 60,000 plugins overall in the WordPress ecosystem. So this is only one of the most powerful CMS and open source project where like community has contributed too much. Like there are other e-commerce and CMS as well, but I think this has something. But this is really positive thing as well. But on the other hand, this is really risk as well to cater every single scenario, as you mentioned, like. What are
right,
themes there, what are the plugins installed there, and any change would affect what like plugin or theme can break the whole website.
right.
So this
I
is
think the
something.
good thing is you control which functions you give the model access to. So there are some functions which are probably not dangerous to give access, not as dangerous to
Yeah,
give access to. Like, of course, as soon as you write content, there's a little more risk. But if you implement this safely on your own in your own function code, something like what this example from before, create a new WordPress post, there is no real risk. Like you're not gonna by accident delete the entire site or something. It's not possible, right? And so
yeah,
as long as you provide very clear functions and try to only, yeah, don't give access to any of the sensitive things, And as soon as if you give it access to anything that's called delete something, you
Yeah,
need to do a lot of sanitization before that it doesn't,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't do some nonsense or, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So one last question. I think we don't have any question anymore. So how do you see security while like AI services plugin is already here? WordPress has formed the AI team, and you are part of it. And so one is the how do you see security in WordPress by adding up AI, and then how do you see a future of WordPress? Like, would it be just as typical CMS as it has right now, or it would be evolved at some point into a different thing, and how it would be still applicable for content creators and publishers?
um well, for security, I mean, this is a much more specific question. I mean, I think I'm pretty sure there is already maybe some security plugin out there that has some AI integration to help diagnose issues, for example. I think that's the biggest security overlap I could see right now. Um, but I think for the future of WordPress, I mean, now there's a WordPress AI team. Just going to very quickly mention that the main focus of the AI team right now is to build plumbing for developers, to bring AI features to WordPress. So very similar to the AI services plugin. And in fact, one of the new projects, I'm just going to quickly paste the link here in the chat. One of the new projects, which is called PHP AI Client SDK, is basically a similar thing to AI services, which is heavily inspired by AI services, but that will be an official WordPress project, which does something similar. But we'll build a suite of different tools that empower developers to build AI features for WordPress. This is one piece, which is the part that allows you to talk to the AI providers in an agnostic way, so
Yeah.
supporting any provider with the same API. But there's also something called the Abilities API, which is a structured way to express WordPress features and resources in a way that models can access them. So this is very deeply focused on function calling. So it basically, what I showed you today, the AI service plugin, it only has a part to talk to the models, but it doesn't have a
Exactly.
connection to WordPress. And this Abilities
Exactly. Yeah.
API will be the part that will have the connection to a WordPress site. So you can make changes on the WordPress site through a model and so on.
So
And I
basically,
think,
so I'm sorry to interrupt. So basically,
right,
what we are getting output from the model that can be implemented on WordPress level as well, right?
right.
For by
The Abilities API would be able, the combination of Abilities API and this PHP AI client will allow you to get the full power of it, basically. And I think the long term, I don't know at what point all of this will be like ready for WordPress core, because there are a lot of considerations about that, especially today, most of the providers being paid, and which provider should be supported in core. I don't know. It's a very complex
yeah,
topic. I don't want to get too much into it, but I think what I find very promising is what I mentioned at the end of my demos, this browser built-in AI, because that's a
yeah,
way that it will just get better. Like today, it's not that great yet, but it will just get better. And maybe in a year from now, it's going to be widely rolled out and works pretty well for many use cases. And then you could start thinking to integrate this in WordPress core, because it will allow anybody to use AI capabilities for free and more privacy friendly too, because they don't get sent to all these big companies. It just stays in your
exactly.
own machine. So I think that the on-device AI factor is a big piece that is important for the future of open source projects like WordPress. Um, and I think eventually the WordPress AI team, we definitely have a goal there to, after we've built these initial building blocks for developers, also bring together some proof of concept and we call it the AI experiments plugin. That's what it's going to be called. It doesn't exist yet, but this will be the first thing for end users that would come out of the WordPress AI team, where I don't have a clear idea yet what it's going to contain. Maybe some initial things like, I don't know, generate an excerpt for a post or rewrite a paragraph in a post or something like that. Um, Yeah, there. I want to quickly mention in relation
Yeah,
to the AI services plugin. There is, I think I saw someone here from the Filter agency in the chat. There is a plugin called Filter AI today that is built on top of AI services and brings user-facing features to your WordPress site. So I didn't demo this here now, but by like for those of you who want to, for maybe for those of you who aren't developers, for example, and you
yeah.
want to use the power of AI services with actual features, um, I would recommend you try out this plugin because it brings like it uses AI services to bring actual user-facing features to your WordPress site, and that's a good. I think that's a great starting point. It
Yeah.
has things like it can change text on on your post, it can generate images for you in the media library, that kind of thing. And it's still all provider agnostic, so you get everything that the AI services plugin gives you under the hood, but this is basically for end users.
Yeah, obviously that would be a great inspiration for devs as well. Like they are using real-time AI service plugin to for end user. Like it will be definitely helpful. Yeah. So one more question that was about the future, like and is it still aligned with like it was started from a blogger's site, like and it evolves within the 2 decades to the next level. So how do you see like it like when the AI is coming and they are obviously started working on it and like how much WordPress can be evolved further? That was actually my question. So,
Oh, yeah.
and that's my last question. Yeah.
I think, I mean, I can only guess, but I think one thing that I find very promising in the with the landscape of AI is, um, maybe it's something I think is called, people call it generative UI. So I think WordPress has always been heavily popular because of the administrative experience. It's intuitive and so on, right? And um, especially at the foundation and so on. And I think that for example, one problem that WordPress has is the more plugins you install, the more things you have in your WP admin, and maybe some of them you don't need, but they're still there. Like you can't just alter it. And I think generative UI, which basically it's you build some UI framework, some design system that with different components that AI can kind of put together based on the user's needs. You can really, I think this will be a big piece in the future, maybe to provide a completely fine-tuned interface for every single WordPress admin user that streamlines the experience to exactly what they need, right? Like instead of having 25 menu items on the left, you only have 6 that you use every day, right? And then everything else is still somewhere accessible, but not in this main view. To really streamline user experience, I think that's where AI can truly shine. And I don't know. My hope is that WordPress will eventually go towards that path where you can really you can tell AI what you want to do, what is how are you using your WordPress site, and it will just customize your UI perfectly for what you need.
Yeah. So basically, you are saying like, and you have opened a new discussion, but obviously we will close here. Like, user can opt out extra stuff in the WordPress dashboard in future.
Right, but yeah, but even more sophisticated than that, like you could have any, like, I don't know, you can arrange the things in the way you want them to be, and the AI can help you to do that and set this up for you. But yeah, that's a big topic on its own, but that's, don't
Yeah.
want to get into it too much, but I think this is where I would love WordPress to go eventually.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you so much, Felix. Like it was really pleasure hosting you, and obviously, it's a too much learning for us overall. And there are a lot of people who joined us from different part of world as well, like from UK, from Italy. Even I'm sitting here in Italy right now as well, from Pakistan. So yeah. So thank you so much, and let's keep in touch. And yeah, have a good day.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This
Yeah,
was a lot of fun. Again,
yeah,
I just pasted links to the plugin for reference, and
yeah.
yeah,
Thank
Thank
you
you for
so
having
much.
me.
Yeah. Bye bye.